Oh, I'm so fucking bored with this painting. Let's do something different.
I do whatever comes through the door that has a black outline and gets me paid.
I'm a straight shop artist. I do everything. I want to do a portrait though.
In New York, we have a saying like, my style is whatever my hands call for.
I don't have a style. That's the whole thing. It's like there's a lot of things I can't do. There's a couple things I can do. But I also will try anything.
I mean, when I started tattooing, we did everything. We did, traditional, we did flash, we did lettering, we did anything that came through the door.
A lot of tattoo artists, they start working for somebody and the owner or the boss is telling them, you need to do whatever comes through the door because they got bills to pay. It is a good practice to learn the fundamentals and build yourself up from traditional to the next steps, all black, things like that.
If you're doing different tattoos every day, you're definitely learning like multiple regions and styles. And that's what excites me about tattooing, is the fact that you're learning all the time.
I just like being out of my comfort zone because I feel like it makes it fun.
I feel like my style chose me because it was what I salaried at and what people wanted to get done from me.
I do realism, but I like doing lots of different styles if I can, but I'm asked predominantly to do like botanical realism. I fell in love with it at random, to be honest. I was taught in the traditional way. Everyone in my studio did neo-traditional, and I was, trying to be a neo-trad artist, which did not work out well for me.
And I did my first portrait, and then people just started wanting to get that, and then I decided, hey, I want to try a color portrait, and I started doing that. And the other stuff just kind of pushed to the side because people started booking me for the stuff they see me excel at.
It's hard to just throw yourself into a box because so many people are in a specialist category that I think if you was to become part of the specialist category, you limit yourself on what work's coming in.
I think you have all kinds of reasons because for someone choosing a style. One would be that that's to the personality, and in other cases maybe others don't have too much of a personality and they choose whatever style is cool or trending. And then there's like the third part of people who are actually like forcibly looking for a style.
I just went through like an exploratory period where I tried all different styles that I could, and I was still pretty new. I was only like maybe 4 years in.
I do black and gray realism, mainly portraits, but when I started tattooing, I was doing like all kinds of, you're trying and you're experimenting to see where you're gonna kind of go into. And for a while I was doing color, like new school one, until I felt like I had enough knowledge of the technical aspect on how to actually accomplish a portrait, because I feel like it's not really something you can just start doing and then be all googly-eyed and just, you know what I mean? No one wants a fucking googly-eyed portrait.
You know this one for sure.
Black and gray realism.
Say it with confidence. Let them know.
You say with confidence.
Let them know.
Black and gray.
I do black and gray realism.
Black and gray realism for sure. I guess you could call it black and gray surrealism.
I've always come from a background of just doing render art, so I've drawn from like anime, photos, real life, and just doing pencil and charcoal drawings. Transitioning into black and gray realism was just very natural for me. I specialize in black and gray realism, and I just believe that was from the normal American society, that was the most pure form of art growing up. Like, we would draw on paper with pencil during school, and we would do lettering, we would do faces, we would just draw that. And I think that's the closest thing to those back in the day, that feeling of drawing on the back of your fucking test in class. Yeah. Like, that's the closest thing to that. And so it really gives us a home feeling. I think that's why I ended up doing that and going that direction.
After I saw a few black and gray pieces that were done by, really good black and gray tattoo artists, but I seen them healed and I was just very disappointed. I was like, oh my gosh, it's very blurry and it's not like, it just looks like some edges should have been sharper or these blacks should have been blacker and stuff. And slowly but surely, through people that I've worked with and stuff that have really solid styles, I just kind of accumulated all these ideas together into being like what I call the most solid form of black and gray realism.
I just like them because those are the tattoos to me that like look like tattoos. I think you can like see them from across the room. You don't have to be like right up on it to see what it is. I like the high contrast in it, and I think they all age well. So those are the kinds that I like to do the most.
I actually used to really be in love with Japanese because I used to love drawing it. Like drawing Japanese style tattoos is amazing. And then I tried to tattoo it, and I just hated packing color. You know, it was just boring.
I have a really heavy Japanese influence. I'm really inspired by it. Like most of my tattoos are Japanese, but I can't say I like follow the guidelines. I'm not like properly trained in that, so I don't want no shame on my part.
I call it Japanese or Asian influenced in my little white boy twist. You know what I mean? Like I love doing big body work. Like tomorrow I'm doing a full back, rear end, back down to the legs. The characters that are ancient from Japan have been around for thousands of years, so they lend themselves to wrap around the body and look visually dynamic from all angles a lot better. We don't have too many things in American culture like eagles and stuff that wrap well around the leg or the body. So that's one of the reasons why I like doing that work.
I've done, Japanese color traditional work, lettering in the beginning too, but over the years it just developed where just now I'm breaking, 10 years of tattooing, and I've just been so focused on the fundamentals and, black and gray and contrast and composition, where now I think I'm in the same realm with a lot of artists who started with realism, where you're kind of ready to move forward and break through that next level of, creativity. I don't always want to do realism. I want to get to that next point, and I don't want to set or dictate where that goes.
I've kind of moved into, a more of a surreal, realistic type of subject matter and style. Going through art school, a lot of the focus was a little bit more on realism and representational artwork, naturalistic artwork. And coming back into tattooing, I really wanted to be able to apply that skill set and all the knowledge that I had learned, throughout those years. So I think that's kind of why I've gravitated towards a little more figurative, surreal kind of a style.
I mostly just say like abstract black work. Lately I've been going more away from the geometry, more into just true weirdness. I think I've always been into abstract art, and I really like stuff that's kind of nonsensical. It's not a thing, it's just eye candy.
I don't know, there's a sense of pride that you get from drawing something that doesn't really exist anywhere else except in that moment. I mean, obviously, the further you get from normal, the less amount of people that want to get tattooed by you, but you also create value in your artwork by pushing further than the norm. And so it's a double-edged sword.
Currently, I do micro-portrait realism. I was working really long days. I was working like 11-hour days, 12-hour days, and it really started to get to me 6 days a week, 11 hours, 12 hours, and it was just driving me crazy. I was at a convention. I had a cancellation, so one of my friends was like, hey, I want to get something, and I said, I have time for a small portrait, and she was like, oh, what about a Mac or a Freddie Mercury? I was like, hell yeah, so we did that at Mac Miller. I could put almost more time into that little tattoo in it, not take 11 hours, and be happier with that. The client would be happier. They're not spending as much, because we're not spending as much time. So it just seemed like everybody was happy with it, and it's been going really good. People are getting tattoos that I normally wouldn't be talking to because they're small, discreet, they can hide them. So it's just kind of opened it up, to a new client base as well, so that's pretty cool.
I do single needle illustrational and more kind of woodcut, dry point needle illustration style. I used to be an art teacher, and I'm really into historic artworks, medieval, Victorian. Once I figured out how to do it on skin in a way that it looks good and feels good, I love doing it. It's classic, it's timeless. I love it, and that's kind of how my whole body is.
As far as my style of tattooing, I think it matches me personally. I'm always changing my look based on how I feel. You know what I mean? My hair is always changing. I might show up to work in a button down and flats one day with a blazer, and the next day like this. It just depends. I may want to do a portrait one day. The next day I'll do an illustrative wolf head. The day after that I'll do a Japanese piece. It's just like lettering after that. I think where I'm at now, it's not so much about adaptability, but just versatility.
But over the years, you just learn to go ahead and pass that stuff off if you can't do it, because there are so many people that can. And even in the town where I live, somebody would come in the shop and ask for something. I'd be like, you need to go to this guy. Like, you don't want to make money? Of course I want to make money, but I'd rather you have a good tattoo.
I don't have to take off my pants this time, do I? Okay. Because last time, I saw you crying back there. You all right? Are you all right? It's just one of those days.
Aaron's falling apart. We've got allergies today.
Oh, dude, I feel you.
If there's anything you should know about me, it's that I have IBS, and I need you to know the liquid fury that ran through my veins in that moment.
Do you prefer tattoos by the ones you did them yourself?
Of course. Yeah.
Yeah, I sharpened a guitar string. Did the whole thing where I ordered some machines online.
$10 Chinese tattoo machine we bought off of eBay or whatever.
Homemade ballpoint pen machine.
With like a little like poke.
This is when she was in prison.
Yeah, definitely in prison.
Took a Walkman apart and built her own machine and tattooed with a guitar string in our living room.
Can we curse on this?
Yeah.
Pick and poke bullshit. I basically did a kanji symbol on my friend, and she was super drunk. I had a tattoo machine.
I had no idea what I was doing. I was tattooing with the needle out like so far, and I tattooed the bottom of my foot. And well, it's not there anymore. I pretty much just like carved to the bottom of my foot. It was not fun.
My first tattoo was on myself as well too,
Yeah,
and I'm surprised I didn't catch anything.
me too.
And I drew up this like Virgin Mary, like the praying hands one with like all the rays around it, and then there was like a row, like 3 roses, and then like also some wings at the bottom, and it was like from his ankle to his knee. And
Okay.
and I hand stenciled it and everything, and then he was like, you know what, you should tattoo it on me. I'm like, okay.
I brought a machine. I didn't know like exactly how it works. I brought it to like her apartment. She got drunk and she was like, "Yeah, tattoo me." Like,
we were drunk. Like I was like in an armchair, and I did like on the outside of this calf, so I was like this for like it felt like 9 hours doing this bullshit tattoo on my leg.
First tattoo I ever did was a dead parrot on my friend's foot. Took me 6 hours, and I was like,
Nah, I think my first tattoo, I fucked up my little cousin. It was supposed to be a bull, but it looked more like a moose, and we didn't finish, so it doesn't have a mouth to this day. So every time I see him, I have to look at that little moose bull.
I was 15. My dad loves to yell about everything, and he walked in, saw me tattooing myself, and he sat down and watched TV. And I'm like, he's pissed.
I was 14 in a really sketchy basement, and my homie's cousin was like tattooing himself, and I was like, bro, fucking give me one. He was like, no, you have to go to the store and steal me a case of beer, and if you do that, I'll tattoo you. So I went to the store, stole a case of beer, and tattooed him, and then he got drunk and passed out, so I tattooed myself.
I was dating a guy and he had a bunch of tattoos. Most of them were pretty bad. So he was like, yeah, if you want to like fill in this outline, do some shading, whatever. So I did that. It looked decent, but he didn't care because he was pretty much covered in bad tattoos anyway. So yeah, perfect like first person to tattoo.
Yeah, mine was a kanji. He did nothing crazy. What did it say? I don't remember. I don't think he knows. It probably wasn't even accurate, whatever they thought.
They
were
never
getting.
are,
It's
dude.
never ever.
Oh, this sick ass like I Love Slipknot tribal tat I got down here.
right
Did
here?
that? Yeah, I got the tattoo, the Huxball and professional tattoo equipment kit that came with everything but what you needed to be a tattooer. Oh, dude, they gave me singles, tight 3s and 7s, and I outlined it with a single and cut it with a 7 round. Bro, I think it's tight as fuck.
I ran into a guy at Subway back in, and I was like, yo, I'm gonna do tats. Come check me out. And we were like right across the street. And he was like, yeah, bro. So he came in there and he got a sweet tribal tat on his leg that I did that. And then a couple years later I redid it because it's
I tattooed my first tattoo. I actually tattooed myself. I tattooed my stomach right here. These like bird silhouettes, like the white girl Pinterest
tattooed your
ones.
stomach?
And I sat like this. The entire. It took like 8 minutes, and I had like I think it was like a balled up T-shirt in my mouth because I thought it was gonna hurt a lot more, like when you're like getting into your leg, sawed off or something like that.
Why am I not surprised?
Is it still there?
No, getting it lasered off, it's terrible.
It's like a new school match that I thought was a cool idea at the time. I didn't know what I was doing. I was terrible. So I knew I was gonna fuck it up, and it made the most sense to fuck up myself rather than fuck up anybody else. I was for some reason I was less nervous about that than doing it on a friend. But yeah, it's terrible.
Man, I remember mine. Mine was a koi fish. It wasn't really that good at all. It was a very badly done koi fish, And I remember specifically going out of the line. I was doing the line, and I just went out of the line, and I kept going, dude. And I did a line about that long, coming out of the koi fish.
Oh my God.
I had to put an extra fin.
He's got 6 now, 7.
Yeah, I don't even know.
The very first tattoo I ever did was a small heart. I did it on one of my really good friends. She had it already. She had like a smaller heart, and it kind of looked like poop because she got an apprentice to do it. And then she let another apprentice, which was myself, touch the heart up. It looked like shit after I was done, but it was my first tattoo. And about a year after my apprenticeship, I covered it up with a beautiful portrait of her mom.
Do I have to break it out?
Yeah, you got to.
This is like 16 years old.
It's not that well, yeah, it's bad.
It's pretty bad.
Yeah,
It's pretty bad.
yeah.
I actually did the raise later. That was like me trying to experiment with mag work. I was like, ooh, this is fancy. I can shade. But yeah, this is the first tattoo I did.
See, people,
Like
you
those
can
lines?
get better over the years.
It happened.
We were hardcore.
Yeah, you were.
Connecticut hardcore. I was so hardcore, my dad was there coaching. Oh man, no supervision. Dude, so what was the tattoo? Connecticut hardcore. That's what you wrote on him?
The cross with the CT.
Oh yeah!
Connecticut hardcore.
Yes,
For sure.
that's the dope.
But then in a tattoo shop, I did some shitty tribal. And that was my first tattoo.
Wait a minute, there's not any tribal?
My mentor was like, "You want to do your first tattoo today?" And I was like, "Yeah." And then I panicked and I drew this like dorky little bird, and I was like, "Yeah, let's do it." Because they were like, "Pick a drawing now," and I was like, "Yeah," and I was like, I just drew it super fast, and so I have this little owl on my leg.
It started with my mentor, who's a crazy biker in Key West, and I had to like push to get it going because I was on that 1 year apprenticeship plan. And I was like
1 year apprenticeship. That's like 6 months now.
Yeah, I wanted to like get going faster, so I said, "Who did that tattoo?" And I knew who did it. It was the other apprentice.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, "Christian did it." And I was like, that line looks a little shaky and that looks a little rough. And he's like, and Christian's like tattooing in the back. He's like, "What, you think you do better?" I was like, "I definitely do better than that."
You weaseled your way into doing your first tattoo? That's awesome.
So he's like, "All right, sit down, let's do it." And Christian stopped tattooing and they all came around me and my mentor is this big biker dude named Goldie. And he's like, "Christian, pass me the scissors. I'm gonna cut off a dread every time he what's up?" And he had the scissors like over a dread. Like I had long dreads at the time. Cut them all off.
Because it came out awesome.
I think Britt might remember the first tattoo that she did. Britt?
So I apprenticed with Kelly for 5.5 long years, wonderful years. She had me do my first tattoo on her, no pressure.
I surprised her with it. That's what you're supposed to do. So one day I had her set up my whole station, like I was gonna do a tattoo, and she had drawing assignments beforehand, and then I was like, all right, get your gloves on. You're gonna tattoo this design on me.
Don't worry, in true Massachusetts form, it is a Dunkin' Cup, but instead of the 2 Ds, it's 2 hearts because we love each other. And then, like a week later, we went to the first Two of a Kind event, which is an event that was held at a shop in Florida, where it's just like all these like just incredible tattooers from all over the world doing like a different collab every day. So little baby me and all my heroes, and Kelly's like, "Oh my God, look, Britt tattooed me," and pulls off a sock that is stuck to it. It's on her ankle, and she's like, and shows everyone that I've ever looked up to this